Hi, this is Jay Shekhar. So this session will help you understand the basics of double equals operator and what are the object references in Java and their aliases actually. So we'll see it through the examples in the code. So the code is available in the GitHub, which you can access it from here. See, first of all, what is a double equals operator? So double equals actually it will take two operands, left hand side operator, operand and right hand. So both have to be either primitives or the objects. Okay, what are primitives in the first place? First place. So anything that is not wrapped inside the object is said to be the primitive, like integer, value 10, value 20, value 30, or value 40, like that. All those things are like primitives. And it comes to objects, so anything that you create through the new operator is an object, right? Because it will wrap something. So basically we will go to the object first. So let us see, to help you understand on this, so I just created a class called person with a few things, basic things like name and id. Both are private fields, and one constructor to just create that, and just getters and setters for each one of them. Okay, nothing else in this person class. So this logger is just added for the sake of understanding the object calls. In the logs we can see the method calls, in which way they happen and all. And basically it's not needed if you are debugging it, so but might be useful for freshers who just want to see the logs and all. So let us see with the examples now in the so I have created a class called person test. So here, see, now let us see what are you have two primitives. So one is false, right, and another is 4. So if you want to compare these two, you just use the double equals operator, whether false equal to false. So these two are primitives, it will say true, because and we are asserting it through the true. So this assert true is basically the API from JUnit 5. So it will make sure that these two are equal. If it is not equal, and it will throw an exception and the test will fail basically. Okay, and these tests maybe if they are new to you, just ignore them. It is just for the sake of understanding few things, so you need not bother about that. You can just right click on that and run, that's it, it will run it. So if you want to debug also, you can just click on debug it. You can just debug it if you want. So basically, when it comes to double equals, if both sides are primitive, it will just compare the value on left hand side is equal to same as that on the right side. If they are equal, it is true, otherwise false. So it is just the basic primitives comparison with the double equals. So that's fine, it is pretty simple. So what is the real most confusing thing is the double equals operator for the objects. Okay, so objects, for example, the moment you create an object with a new operator, so it is going to allot you some memory to store that object. Okay, so that memory location will be different for each object, because you cannot share the memory. If there are two different physical objects, then they cannot share the same memory location. Okay, so the moment you create new string with content abcd, it is going to allot some memory location for this, and that will be that address will be stored in this reference name one. So the reference is just a pointer to the memory location where the object is stored, where the object state is stored. So it is nothing more than that. So just remember that reference is an object address, that's it, nothing more than that. It is just like if you want to call your friend, you will save his mobile number. So you will always use the mobile number, but you give it a name like some xyz mobile number, some abc mobile number, like, so that you will search it through that reference name, and then you will call that guy, but internally it will use the mobile number to call that or access that guy. So the same way, the reference is nothing more than that. So reference is just a object address, that's it. So the moment you create a new object, it is going to have different number. It is just like the same mobile number cannot be given to multiple numbers. So each number is unique to one person, right? The same way, one memory location is giving will be provided to just one person. So name 1 is just one person with just one reference, and similarly name 2 is just another reference. So now if you see, compare both name 1 and name 2, because they cannot be the same. So that's why asset false. These two should never be equal to. These two should never be equal to the same value. Okay, so that's why it will asset false, because both are different memory locations. So it will be false. Asset true. Both are not equal to. One is not equal to other. Okay, so obviously this will be successful if you run this test. Basically, we are asserting that the memory locations of name 1 and the memory location of name 2 are different. So that is that we are asserting through the double equals. But in JVM, you cannot get the memory location directly in the programming. You cannot get the address of that memory location. That memory location may be 1000 or 2000 or 4000, whatever it may be. It will internally use that value. It will manage that internally through its respective data structures, but it will not expose that memory location to you. So that's how we cannot print the name 2 value or name 1 value. It is just that you can use a double equals operator whether they are pointing to the same object or not. So that's it. Similarly, if you take two integer objects, so you are just creating two integer objects with the same value 10. It doesn't matter what value you pass in, but they are just two different objects. Okay, and now if you run it, so still it will pass, because both are different objects. They will have two different addresses. So as a true, both are not equal. As a false, both are equal. So we are just asserting that both are having different addresses. Similarly, for Boolean objects, it doesn't matter what value is inside. It will just compare whether both the values are same or both the values are different. Addresses are same or addresses are different. Now if you see the null operator, so null is a special keyword in Java, so that refers to it is kind of empty location. So you have not created any object. It is basically invalid number kind of thing. It will refer that it's not pointing to anything. Null is not pointing to anything. So null equals to null is always true. Okay, so that's what it is. And then comes to the point, like if you have created a new object of your own, okay, that's fine. It is integer object, inbuilt objects in Java libraries, right? So now we have created a new object called person, like we have seen it, right? So we have created our own object person. Okay, so now I have created person X with name X and 40 and person Y with Y and 50. So if I compare this X equal to Y, then obviously it will not be true. Because X is a different address and Y is a different address in memory. The moment you are using new operator, it will create a new object and it will assign a new memory location for that. Okay, so that's how this will be asserted. If you run it, it will always be true. And now it comes to, now we will see the reference aliases. So we have seen what is reference, right? A reference is just nothing but the literal name that you give for memory address. Because if you want to remember the address of the object in the kind of decimal format or binary format, it is very difficult to remember or refer through. You will miss the readability of the code, right? So that's why we will give a literal name with alphabetical letters and numerical combination, right? So that's what this reference is actually. So when you declare a reference, you should say to the compiler like to what type of object it is pointing to. So you are saying this person is a reference to the object of type person, and you are creating the person with some content, right? So okay, so person, you are just you are creating another name P1. It is also a reference to the type person, and you are assigning the person reference to this one. Okay, now because your person is, assume that person is created in the memory location 200. Okay, the 200 location will be assigned to P1. Okay, there's nothing more than that. So let me show you through the diagrammatic way in that one. So the moment you create an object, okay, it is going to assign some memory location, okay, say 200. From 200 it may take 1 byte or 2 bytes or 1k or 10k, whatever it may be. It will just give the starting location of that object, okay, to the reference. So the person is the object we have created, and person will point to the address, that is 200, okay. Now the moment when you say p1 equal to person, okay, the p1 also will be given the value 200. Similarly, when you say P2 equal to P1, the value P1 is pointing to is 200, the 200 will be given to P2. And P3 will be having the same address, 200. So in this scenario, if you say P1 equal to P2, it is true. P2 equal to P3, it is true. Person equal to P1, it is true, because 200 is equal to 200 and all objects are pointing to the same memory location. There is no difference in that, right? So that is the way we are calling this person is the original reference, and P1, P2, P3 are the aliases for the same thing. So you can cause any effect on the subject through P1 or P2 or P3. If you call person.getName, it will give you the same thing whatever is stored in this memory location for the name. Similarly, if you call P1.getName, it will do the same thing. Whether P2 or P3, it will give the same thing. So there is no difference on that. So if you see the test for that further, so that's where I am saying you that here P2 equal to P1, P2 equal to person, P1.get equal to person.get ID, everything will be the same. So that's why P3. So only thing is that you are creating as many references as possible. It is just for your understanding. In reality, in real world programming, we won't do like this. We will always receive the parameter through the method formal parameter. I will show you that example here. Say you have created update person and you are going to pass one reference for that. So in Java, when you pass the object, that actually the object address will be passed, not the copy of that one. Just object, or say if object address is 200, the 200 will be passed on to the method, and that method will use that 200 location to refer to that object. So the moment you give the address, if you change that object state through that parameter, obviously you are causing side effect to the original object. So for example, you have created a person with a new person with x1 and 1, and you are calling update person. So what will happen here? So you are passing that address here, and through that new address, you are setting the ID to 60, and you are creating another alias for the given thing. Even with alias also, if you set the name, net you are causing the changes on the same object that was created here. You have actually created P1, and P1 you are modifying it through the update person by passing on the address. Okay, now if you, after calling the update person, if you see the p1.getName, it is abcd, because while creating it was x1, but when you call update person, it is setting that name to abcd and it is setting the id to 60. So both got changed. So the p1 state, which was initially x1 and 1, got changed to 60 and abcd. The name got changed to abcd and the value got changed to 60. So you are causing the side effect or to the state of this person object through the object reference, right? So this is where we are calling this as an alias reference or a formal parameter reference or whatever it is. So this is how you basically need to understand when you pass one object to another object, another method call. So that method call can do anything to that object, because since you are giving reference to that object, so that can be modified by in any way based on the constraints on that object. So that is a simple example for side effect by method call by passing the object reference. Similarly, if you just create an alias, it is what it is doing. You are passing in one object and you are creating another alias. You are just adding this, assigning this value to some other, and then assuming that it is returning back that one. So if you see the example here, so P1 creating alias for person, P2 is alias for P1, P3 is alias for P2, P4 is alias for P3. Net all P1, P2, P3, P4 everything is referring to the person ABC and 20. So that's why whatever method you call, whether you call the methods on P1 or P2 or P3 or P4, everything refers to the same object, that is person ABC with 20. Okay. So the summary is this one. The double equals operator for objects will always compare the address. Okay. So that address is not printable, or you cannot access, or you cannot see that address actually, because JVM will not expose that. Internally, it is implemented in such a way that it will take care of comparing the address, whether both objects are pointing to the same address or they are different. Okay. And the second point is reference. The reference is just another literal for the address of the object, because the address is difficult to remember. So we are just giving it a name, and the reference will always have a type, meaning that to what kind of object it is pointing to. That is what reference is. Then the third parameter is alias. So what is alias? So when you pass the objects along the way, say for example, uh, you have created too many objects and too many methods. So one method will pass the object reference to some other method, and that method will pass the object reference to some other address, some other method. So this keep on happening. So basically you need to understand that when a reference is given, so you can cause the effect to the state object state actually. So you can modify the state of the object, since we have the reference is nothing but, since we have the address of the object, you can do any changes on that one based on the constraints on the object, if they are public fields, etc. Okay. So I hope you understood these three things. So if you want to run this test, you can just run it in the IntelliJ, or you can check out this code from the Eclipse or whatever it may be. It is basically JUnit 5. So another way is that if you are not familiar with test framework and all, you just take this for granted. There is no need that you have to study all this test display name, everything and all. So the basic idea is that the double equals always addresses comparison for objects. When it comes to primitives, it is always the literals, the values. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.